Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. A friend of mine asked me if I could make a video going over basic pistol cleaning and maintenance, and I thought that was a good idea of going over some simple steps of how I clean my gun. I'm going to use my Glock 19 today. This is my almost everyday carry gun. Uh, it's compact and easy to conceal, and it's not a bad duty firearm as well. So first and foremost, make sure when you're going to clean your firearm that it is cleared and unloaded, which I've already done. I removed my flashlight from it because it was most recently in its duty configuration, and I really don't want to get too much grease on my flashlight. So this is a good thing to go over because I've seen some dumb stuff uh, with people cleaning firearms, from second lieutenants cleaning 50 cal machine guns with really stiff wire brushes and basically scraping off the coating on the whole gun. And I've seen some guys wash their pistols in the bathroom sink at the police academy, which caused much discomfort for me. So I think it's a good idea that we just go over some of this stuff, and I'm going to take you through the way I do it. And it is a way, it's not the way, but it's how I do it. So this is stuff that you need to know because you can't do cool guy stuff until you know the basics of firearms care and firearms safety. So let's go over it. I'm not going to go into depth on all of the parts and mechanisms of the Glock 19, but for the takedown, you can do this by pulling slightly back on the slide and then down on the slide lock. On other guns, it's called the takedown lever, but for Glock, it's a slide lock. Pull the trigger, that'll unlock the slide from the frame, and you slide her off. So then you have the frame, you have the recoil spring, and the barrel with the slide. So let's get that in the frame so you can see everything. This gun is relatively clean, so I already have everything laid out that I'm going to use. I have some Seal 1 that I like to use as lubricant. I use rem oil to break down the caked on carbon. And then I have some, I believe this is still rem oil in this little container, but I can't remember for sure. Just for when I go to punch the barrel out. I have a cleaning brush, an assortment of cotton tip applicators, and then two pistol cleaning rods that I already have set up so I don't have to mess around with that. And one thing I forgot is some patches to send through the barrel when I'm cleaning it. Alright. I also have some t-shirt rags that are supposedly lint-free. You can buy these rags at a paint shop. They're just usually bleached t-shirts or bleached cotton cloth that's been shredded up. So, first thing I'm going to do, I'm take my rem oil and spray down the parts that are probably going to have most caked on carbon. So on the Glock, it's the grooves that are on the locking block here, and then the rear trigger mechanism housing, and that's for the frame. And I spray a little by the trigger, and then lightly coat the magazine well that I'm going to wipe out. And I just spray down the entire barrel, give it a good coat. And then on the inside of the slide, along the grooves that meet up with the frame. And let that drip out a lot. You can see these black spots are already showing some of the broke down carbon. Alright. Sit for a little bit. Recoil spring a little wipe down here. I'm sorry if you are hearing all kinds of noise. My furnace and my hot water heater decided to kick on at the same time. Try to edit that out. So I wiped down the recoil spring. I'm going to move to the barrel. Wipe down the barrel. I'm not going to worry about the inside of the barrel just yet. That down, set it off to the side, kind of wipe off the grip of the frame and trigger guard trigger. Get a lot of that excess oil that dripped out already. And then move on to the inside. Now, because there's so many nooks and crannies, that's why I have these cotton tip applicators out, or Q-tips as they're commonly known as. And I have narrow and wide for getting these spots. So of course take the wide and the wider areas. Just get in there, scrub them up. When this gets super dirty, just move on to a new Q-tip. A more narrow one. Try to get those grooves that are a little tighter. Get under the slide stop lever. It's usually an overlooked spot for newer guys. And then if you want to get in those grooves a little bit tighter, just take your rag, run her up and down like this. Yeah, one more. If you see any really big or caked on spots, you can always take just a nylon bristle brush and scrub everything down. I'm always fighting a battle with dog hair, so you just gotta work on what you can. Get to wipe out the mag well. Send that back up through. Make sure it's not too oily in there because you don't want dirt getting attracted to it. wipe out any excess pooling oil. Again, we don't want that dirt to be hanging onto your firearm, causing issues down the road. But if you're cleaning it regularly, you shouldn't have that problem. Alright, frame's looking good. Move on to the slide here. So wipe down the outside real quick. Slide serrations. It's a little tighter for the cloth, so we'll move on to the Q-tip. Everything's pretty well open, so we can use one of these wider ones. A little excess oil is okay, but in abundance will cause a problem. So we can use more narrow Q-tips, run in the grooves. Still a little bit carbon in there. And we're not doing this to inspection standards right now either, so if you're still seeing a little tiny light gray on your Q-tips, I don't think your wife is gonna kick you out of bed or anything like that. Or she might. Make sure the extractor is cleaned out. And if you're running night sights, we're making sure there's no excess dirt blocking them up. So we can see there's a little bit of carbon on the paper towel here that I laid down, but not too much because I properly maintain my firearm so that it works when I need it to. Alright, so everything's looking good. A little more oil in here than I would care for. Unbelievable. I know it's clean because I already cleaned this. Some guys like to go in the front, but you gotta be careful not to damage the muzzle. Some guys like to go on the rear for some other reason. Oh, there's a joke in there somewhere. So I'm going to punch out the barrel real quick, loosen up any carbon that's caked in there, take my other brush, get one of my bore patches, run it through the eyelet, and put a little oil on that. I don't have to go too crazy with it, but enough that it can grab that carbon. I'm going through the back this time. Pull off the dirty patch. Got a little bit of carbon on there. Run a dry patch through it, just to make sure everything's cleaned. I'm going to take one of our Q-tips I have out. We're going to go with a narrow one. Now, most of these Seal 1 bottles come with a squirt lid, but it usually makes a mess, so I'm just going to dip the Q-tip in there and get it out. Now on the inside of the slide, we're going to go right by the breech opening, put a little glob there, set that off. On the barrel, you can see there's a little bit of shininess here on the top. Showing you properly, and that is what that glob is going to prevent from wearing out unnecessarily. So on the barrel, we're also looking for friction points. See a little shininess here, a little goob there, and also put one in here underneath the chamber. I'm not going to leave too much excess. And then the barrel itself is going to get light coating. So I just spread it on one side and then take my pinky finger and rub it down. Just like that. So slide that back into the slide. It's locking in. Sliding pretty freely. So I think we've hit 1, 2, 3, 4 spots. So more Seal 1. Where the frame and the slide are going to meet, we're going to put a couple more spots in these grooves. Try to get it up in there. Just like that. Look for any other friction points, just throw a little extra on there. So we have 4 on the slide there. And all right. Put the recoil spring back in. And fit it all together. Before I do a functions test, I'm going to wipe off any of this crazy excess that's leaked out already. It usually comes out by the trigger most of all. It's not a bad idea to wipe down your guns every now and then if they're just sitting in the safe to prevent any rust from building up. And you also want to have some kind of dehumidification device inside there. So we've gotten most of the oil off there. Let's do a quick functions test. Pull trigger, pull back in, it resets. She's good to go. So now we've cleaned our pistol. Let's make sure that the holster is looking good. No unnecessary wear. Not too dirty in there. A little bit of dust, but that'll happen to you. Make sure there's no rust. See that the screws are still set in there tight. Just double check that with a screwdriver real fast. A little Loctite on these wouldn't hurt either. So just make sure they are still good and tight. Good to go. Make sure the screws on the release are still good to go. They're all tight. So I'm using the Blackhawk Omnivore. And the way this works is all of the retention for the pistol is on the flashlight. So put the flashlight back on. Hand tighten it first. And again, because it is being retained by the flashlight, we want to make sure that's on there good and tight. So, very good there. There, not going anywhere. And while we're at it, we can also make sure that the lens of the flashlight is clean. So, use some lens wipes here. You can get these at Walmart still. They're well worth the money. There's no dirt on the flashlight, so that's good. Again, maintaining often, doing preventive maintenance will go a long way. So let's just clean up what we got, get rid of the patches, put your unused Q-tips away. Hide the rags, hide the oil. Don't want anything drying out. Clean up everything, make sure you don't have anything in there. So just make sure that the holster is still working. Pistol locks in, release securely. She's good to go. Alright, folks, thanks for tuning in. It's good that if you're an experienced shooter, that you pass on some knowledge to newer shooters. Not only strengthens our community, and if you're a newer shooter, don't be afraid to ask for help, because we all have to start somewhere. So, again, hoping to make more videos here soon. Let me know down in the comments of something you guys might want to see or any suggestions. I am open for anything. I'm open for critical criticism. Public school education for you there. Alright, folks. Have a good one. Please like, subscribe, make a comment. Like admin result says, it's a sacrifice to the algorithm gods. So, do your part. Have a good one.